ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 24, chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. So we are in the Falashruti section of this chapter, almost toward the end of the conclusion of this chapter. Text 7. Yeah, 77-4. अथेदं नित्यदा युक्तो जपन् अभिहिता पुमान् अचिरात् श्रेयमाप्नोति वासुदेव परायणः. Translation.
A devotee of Lord Krishna, whose mind is always absorbed in him, who with great attention and reverence chants this stotra, prayer, will achieve the greatest perfection of life without delay. Purport. Perfection means becoming a devotee of Lord Krishna. As stated in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.28, Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Paramakha. The ultimate goal of life is Vasudeva or Krishna. Any devotee of Lord Krishna can attain all perfection, material gains, and liberation simply by offering prayers to him. There are many varieties of prayers to Lord Krishna chanted by great sages and great personalities such as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Lord Krishna is known as Shiva Virinchintum. Bhagavatam 11.5.33. Shiva means Lord Shiva and Virinchi means Lord Brahma. Both of these demigods are engaged in offering prayers to Lord Vasudeva Krishna. If we follow in the footsteps of such great personalities and become devotees of Lord Krishna, our lives will become successful. Unfortunately, people do not know this secret. Nate viduhu swatha gatim hi Vishnum. They do not know that the real interest and the highest perfection of life is to worship Lord Vishnu Krishna. Bhagavatam 7.5.31. It is impossible to become satisfied by trying to adjust the external energy. Without being a devotee of Lord Krishna, one can only be baffled and confused. To save living entities from such a calamity, Lord Krishna points out in Bhagavad Gita 7.19, Bahunam janma namante jnanavanmam prapadyante vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. After many, many births and deaths, a wise man surrenders unto me, knowing very well that I, Vasudeva, am everything. Such a great soul is very rare. We can achieve whatever benediction we want simply by becoming devotees of Vasudeva. Hare Krishna.
Now Lord Shiva says, Athedam nityada yukto, being always engaged, Japan abhita puman, chanting this particular Rudra Gita, which is unprecedented prayer to Lord Vishnu, Achireta, one will very quickly obtain apnoti Vasudeva Parayana. A devotee whose mind is dedicated to Lord Vasudeva. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the perfection means becoming devotee of Lord Krishna. We have to realize this. This is the perfection. Perfection means to become devotee of Lord Krishna. Somebody will say, oh, you're Krishna devotee. That's why you are saying no. That is what is being described in all the Vedas. Srila Prabhupada quotes Srimad Bhagavatam, Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Paramakaha, Vasudeva Parayoga, Vasudeva Paraha Kriyaha, Vasudeva Param Jnanam, Vasudeva Param Tapaha, Vasudeva Paro Dharmo, Vasudeva Paragatihi. That, that the ultimate of everything is Lord Vasudeva. Vasudeva Paraveda. He is the conclusion of ultimate object of the Vedas. He is the purpose of the sacrifice. Vasudeva Paramakha. Vasudeva Para Yoga. Yoga is for realizing him. And all the fruitive activities, Kriya, are ultimately rewarded by him. Vasudeva Param Jnanam. One who knows about Lord Vasudeva, knows the supreme knowledge. Vasudeva Param Tapaha. All severe austerities are performed to know him. Vasudeva Paro Dharmo. The highest dharma is to render service unto him. Vasudeva Paragatihi. The ultimate goal is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, perfection means becoming devotee of Lord Krishna. And after we have become devotee of Lord Krishna, we have to remain devotee of Lord Krishna. This is also Prabhupada quotes Shiva. And such devotees, they are always engaged in Shrunvanti Gayanti Grananti Vikshnashah. They are always engaged in chanting the glories of the Lord. And who are they? Such great personalities as Shiva Viranchinutam. Shiva means Lord Shiva. Viranchi means Brahmaji. And Mahajanu, all these great Mahajans, they are following in the footsteps of Shivan Viranchi Nutam and always glorifying the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada says, any devotee can attain all perfection, material gains and liberation simply by offering prayers to the Supreme Lord. Right. Whereas only on the material platform, if we are simply dabbling with the external energy of the Lord, it is impossible to become satisfied. And recently, such cases are coming out. The NEET paper leak, right? Very good families. The lady who was arrested yesterday, Havaldar, both the children are doing their MS PhD abroad. Husband is in one big multinational company. She is a Mukhyadhyapika. But still, people want to dabble with the material energy, external energy, and it will never lead to any satisfaction. Without becoming devotee, the person will only be baffled and confused about the goal of life. And therefore, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. This is not an easy platform. When we become devotee, it is not a one lifetime work. Bahunam Janmanamante. After many, many lifetimes, we have become devotee. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai. And therefore, becoming devotee, remaining devotee, and chanting these wonderful prayers, we can achieve whatever benediction we want simply by becoming devotee of Vasudev. And this is proved by Dhruva Maharaj, proved by Prahlad Maharaj, and so many great personalities. Text 75. श्रेयसामिह सर्वेषां ज्ञानं निःश्रेयसा परं सुखं तरति दुष्पारं ज्ञानं नो व्यसनार्णवम्.
Translation. In this material world, there are different types of achievement. But of all of them, the achievement of knowledge is considered to be the highest because one can cross the ocean of nescience only on the boat of knowledge. Otherwise, the ocean is impassable. Purport. Actually, everyone is suffering within this material world due to ignorance. Every day we see that a person without knowledge commits some criminal act and is later arrested and punished, despite the fact that he actually may not have been conscious of his sinful activity. Such ignorance prevails throughout the world. People do not consider how they are risking their lives in an attempt to have illicit sensual life, kill animals to satisfy their tongue, enjoy intoxication, and gamble. It is very regrettable that the leaders of the world do not know of the effects of these sinful activities. They are instead taking things very easily and are succeeding in making the ocean of nescience wider and wider. Opposed to such ignorance, full knowledge is the greatest achievement within this material world. We can practically see that one who has sufficient knowledge is saved from many dangerous pitfalls in life. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.19, Bahunan Janmanam Ante Jnanvan Mam Pravadyate. When one actually becomes wise, he surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Cha Mahatma Sudhurlabha. Such a great soul is very rarely to be found. This Krishna consciousness movement is determined to open wide the eyes of the so-called leaders who are full of ignorance and thus save them from the many pitfalls and dangerous conditions of life. The greatest danger is the danger of getting a body lower than that of a human being. It was with great difficulty that we attained this human form of life just to take advantage of this body and re-establish our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda. Lord Shiva advises, however, that those who take advantage of his prayers will very soon become devotees of Lord Vasudeva and thus will be able to cross the ocean of nescience and make life perfect. Hare Krishna.
Now Lord Shiva says, Shreyasam iha sarvesham. There are many great things to obtain, but the greatest thing to obtain is Jnanam Nishreyasaha Param. Is the transcendental knowledge, Sukham Tarati Dushparam, and this knowledge will enable one to cross the ocean of nescience, otherwise it is Dushparam, impossible to cross over. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that actually everybody is suffering in the material world due to ignorance, that is avidya. So the avidya begins with identification with the body, and we have seen that avidya, agyana, abhinivesh, and it just continues. And the living entity gets engaged in many different varieties of sinful activities. Prabhupada writes here, people do not consider how they are risking their lives in an attempt to have illicit affairs, kill animals to satisfy their tongue, enjoy intoxication and gambling. It is very regrettable that we have attained this human form of life, and because we are always with human, it is. Yesterday I was talking to one devotee, and because we were always, when we came to Krishna consciousness, it was 30 years back, Radhesham Prabhu was preaching. He himself was MTech IIT. And then all of our friends were IITians only, although I am not from IIT, I am from Pune University. So, IIT and preach, I have given countless programs in IIT, IIT Delhi, IIT Pune, IIT Bombay, and other places. So IIT just looked like the next door, by associating with all these IITians, especially brahmacharis. We have our Revatipati Prabhu, and then there are many, many IITian devotees, and then many NIT devotees, many of them. But now, when somebody is preparing for IIT, then I was telling them that, Prabhu, now I realize what you rejected. First thing I realized what you obtained, seat in IIT. And now I am realizing what you rejected 20 years back. Right? So similarly, the human form of life is extremely rare. But because we are always with all humans, we think, and there is no role model in the world, right? The role models are the Bollywood models nowadays, or the cricketers, and you know how the things are there, like. And therefore, Prabhupada says, instead of taking things very easily, and they are, and the leaders are also accordingly. And therefore, Prabhupada says, Krishna consciousness movement is committed to wide open the eyes of these leaders with the torchlight of knowledge. Om Ajnana Timirandasya. So, what is the danger? Prabhupada says the greatest danger is to lose the human form of life and to go down to the animalistic species. And that is the greatest danger. And therefore, Lord Shiva here is advising, please take advantage of these prayers. And by taking advantage of these prayers, one will become a perfect devotee. Text 76. Ya imam shraddhaya yukto madgitam bhagavastavam adhiyano duraradhyam harimaradhayate yasau. Translation.
Although rendering devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and worshipping Him are very difficult, if one vibrates or simply reads these stotra prayers composed and sung by me, he will very easily be able to invoke the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But it is especially significant that Lord Shiva is a pure devotee of Lord Vasudeva. Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. Amongst all Vaishnavas, Lord Shiva is the topmost. Consequently, Lord Shiva has a sampradaya, a Vaishnav disciplic succession called the Rudra Sampradaya. At the present moment, those who belong to the Vishnu Swami Sampradaya of Vaishnavas come from Rudra, Lord Shiva. To become a devotee of Lord Krishna, Vasudeva, is very, very difficult. The word especially used in this connection is Duraradhyam. The worship of the demigods is not very difficult, but becoming a devotee of Lord Vasudeva Krishna is not so easy. However, if one adheres to the principles of follows in the footsteps of the higher authorities as advised by Lord Shiva, one can easily become a devotee of Lord Vasudeva. This is also confirmed by Prahlad Maharaj. Devotional service cannot be practiced by a mental speculator. Devotional service is a special attainment which can be acquired only by a person who has surrendered unto a pure devotee. As confirmed by Prahlad Maharaj, Mahiyasam Padarajo Vishekam Nishkinchananam na Vrinita Yavat. Unless one accepts the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee who is free from all material contamination, one cannot enter into the devotional service of the Lord. Bhagavatam 7.5.3.
Ye idam shraddhaya yukto. Anybody with great shraddha. Mad Geetam Bhagavat Stavam. See, Lord Shiva is so happy saying that this is Mad Geetam. Like we have Bhagavad Gita, which is sung by Lord Krishna. This is Rudra Gita. And therefore, this is called as Rudra Gita. Mad Geetam. This is my song. Bhagavat Stavam. Which is Bhagavat Stava. Stava means, Prabhupada writes here, a very special glorification. Bhagavat Stavam. Adhiyano Duraradhyam. Adhiyano, by regularly studying Duraradhyam, which is very difficult to have. What is that very difficult? Harir, to become devotee of the Supreme Lord Hari. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that it is especially significant Lord Shiva is a pure devotee, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. He himself is a devotee, exhibits all the characteristics of the devotee, especially the symptom of a devotee, Aniketah Sthiramatir. Right. And he himself starts a sampradaya also, and that is Rudra Sampradaya. Modern day it is Vishnu Swami Sampradaya of the Vaishnavas. Duraradhyam Prabhupada writes that to become devotee of the Lord Krishna Vasudeva is very difficult. Worship of demigods is not very difficult because there is, the immediate reciprocation, Attavantu Phalam Desham. But becoming devotee of the Supreme Lord, especially following a Vaishnava Sampradaya, is very difficult because they come with a price tag. Price tag of regulative principles, price tag of doing this and that, yama and niyama. And therefore, become devotee of the Lord is not easy. Right. Samahatma, Sudurlabha. It is very, very difficult, very rare to obtain devotee of the Lord. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and by the mercy of Gaur Nitai, we see, dozens of devotees, hundreds of devotees, thousands of devotees. But this is the golden age within the Kali Yuga. When this golden age will be over in next 9,400 years, then, one will not find a devotee at all. मराठीमध्ये म्हणतो ना आपण औषधालाही भक्त सापडणार नाही. That will be the condition. So, it is very difficult to become devotee, but this prayer, and Lord Shiva is so happy, so proud to call it Mad Geetam Bhagavat Stavam. And Prabhupada writes here, and therefore one has to follow the footsteps of a great personality like Lord Shiva here. Mahiyasam Padarajobhishekam Nishkinchananam na Granita Yavat. Unless we bathe ourselves with the dust of a lotus feet of a great devotee. To bathe with the dust of the lotus feet of a great devotee means to follow the instructions. It is very difficult to come out of material contamination and to enter into devotional service. So, very amazing prayer by Lord Shiva. The style and grace of Lord Shiva here. Mad Geetam Bhagavatstavam. Is declaring, this is my Gita, Rudra Gita, and very proudly saying that Bhagavatstavam, which is glorifying the Supreme Lord. Right. So, text 27. Vindate Purusho Yushmat Yat Yat Ichchati Yat Atsvar Satvaram Madgitam Gitat Supritat Shreyasami Kavallabhat.
Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the dearmost objective of all auspicious benedictions. A human being who sings this song, sung by me, can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee, being fixed in the Lord's devotional service, can acquire whatever he wants from the Supreme Lord. Purport: As stated in Bhagavad Gita 6.22, Yam labdhva chaparam labham manyate nadhikam tata. If one can attain the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has nothing to aspire for, nor does he desire any other gain. When Dhruva Maharaj became perfect by austerity and saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, he was offered any kind of benediction he wanted. However, Dhruva replied that he did not want anything, for he was perfectly satisfied with the benediction of seeing the Lord. Except for the service of the Supreme Lord, whatever we want is called illusion, Maya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Jivera Swarupahai Krishnera Nitya Das. Every living entity is an eternal servant of the Lord. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 20.108. Therefore, when one engages in the service of the Lord, he realizes the highest perfection of life. A faithful servant can fulfill any desire by the grace of the Master, and one who engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord has nothing to aspire for separately. All his desires are fulfilled simply by engaging constantly in the Lord's loving service. Lord Shiva shows us that any devotee can be successful simply by chanting the prayers which he has recited. Hare Krishna.
Now Lord Shiva says, Vindate Purusham Amushyat Yadyadichati Asatvaram. Right. Madgitam Gita Supritat. Anybody who chants this song, Rudra Gita, Supritat, will extremely please the Supreme Lord, Shreyasam Ekavallabhat, and will attain the benedictions which are the highest benediction from the Supreme Lord by chanting this Rudra Gita. Right. Again, Madgitat. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that Yam labdhva chaparam labham manyatena adhikam tatah. When one attains the favor of the Supreme Lord, there is nothing more to be attained. And this is exemplified by Dhruva Maharaj. When he had the darshan of the Lord, he had so many desires. But he said that, no, my dear Lord, simply by your darshan, I am fully satisfied. Kachan vichinvan apidivyaratnam swami krutarthosmi varam nayache. I am not asking for any benediction now. Right? So, Prabhupada writes a powerful statement. Except for the service of the Supreme Lord, whatever we want is illusion or Maya. Of course, it takes lifetime to realize this, and we have to realize with our own pace. But the point here is that unless we engage whatever we have in the service of the Lord, by chanting the holy names especially, it is considered to be a Maya. Then Srila Prabhupada describes that the nature of the living entity, the constitutional position is Jivera Swarupahe Krishnera Nityadas, and therefore one can obtain anything and everything by the favor of the Supreme Lord, just like a faithful servant attains all his desires fulfilled by the grace of the Master. So one has to simply successfully chant these prayers. So successfully chant these prayers especially refers to chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Right. Text 78. इदं यकल्ले उत्थाय प्राञ्जलि श्रद्धयान्वितः शृणुयात् श्रावयेत् मर्त्यः मुञ्चन्ते कर्मबन्धनैः. Translation.
A devotee who rises early in the morning and with folded hands chants these prayers sung by Lord Shiva and gives facility to others to hear them certainly becomes free from all bondage to fruitive activities. Purport. Mukti or liberation means becoming free from the results of fruitive activities. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.10.6, Muktir hitva hitvayata rupam swarupena vyavastitihi. Mukti means giving up all other activities and being situated in one's constitutional position. In this conditional state, we are entangled by one fruitive activity after another. Karma bandhana means the bonds of fruitive activity. As long as one's mind is absorbed in fruitive activities, he has to manufacture plans for happiness. The Bhakti Yoga process is different. For Bhakti Yoga means acting according to the order of the Supreme Authority. When we act under the direction of Supreme Authority, we do not become entangled by fruitive results. For instance, Arjuna fought because the Supreme Person of Godhead wanted him to. Therefore, he was not responsible for the outcome of the fighting. As far as devotional service is concerned, even hearing and chanting is as good as acting with our body, mind, and senses. Actually, hearing and chanting are also activities of the senses. When the senses are utilized for one's own sense gratification, they entangle one in karma. But when they are used for the satisfaction of the Lord, they establish one in bhakti. Thank you, Prabhu.
Idam yah kalya utthaya. One who rises early in the morning and with folded hands chant these prayers, Rudra Gita, and gives facility to others to hear them. What that means is chanting loudly. Okay. So chanting audibly, not loudly, but chanting audibly. Then he becomes free from all the karma bandhana. Uchyate karma bandhanai. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, Mukti means becoming free from the fruitive activities. Muktir hitvanyatha rupam svarupena devastiti. Right. And one is established in one's svarupa. And then there is karma bandhan, the bonds of the fruitive activity. So as long as we are acting on our own whimsical desires, there is karma bandhana. But when we are acting under the instruction of the spiritual master, supreme authority, then we do not become entangled by the fruitive results. And Srila Prabhupada gives example of Arjuna fighting the entire battle, but completely free of any karma bandhana. And then there is activity of Shravanam and Kirtanam. So sometimes people have this idea that anybody can do Shravanam Kirtanam. I want to act. Of course, one should act when there is energy in the body. One has to engage the energy in the body, the passion in the body in the service of the Lord. Kama Krishna Karmarpane. But at the same time, hearing and chanting is also activity. Right? Prabhupada said, as far as devotional service is concerned, even hearing and chanting is as good as acting with our body, mind, and senses. They are also activities of the senses. So, when we act under senses, under instruction of the Lord, it becomes bhakti. Otherwise, there is always a danger of karma bandhanai, karma. Text 79. This is the final concluding verse of Rudra Gita. गीतं मयेदं नरदेवनन्दना परस्य पुंसा परमात्मनास्तवम् जपन्त एकाग्रतधिया तपो महत् चरद्वमन्ते तत आस्थप्य ईप्सितम्. Translation.
My dear son of the king, the prayers I have recited to you are meant for pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul. I advise you to recite these prayers, which are as effective as great austerities. In this way, when you are mature, your life will be successful and you will certainly achieve all your desired objectives without fail. Papa, if we presently engage in devotional service, certainly all our desires will be fulfilled in due course of time. Thus, end of the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 4th canto, 24th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Chanting the Sung A song sung by Lord Shiva. Hare Krishna.
Geetam Mayedam. Third time Lord Shiva says, this is my Gita, this is Rudra Gita. Geetam Mayedam Naradeva Nandana. O sons of the king, Parasya Pumsa Paramatmastavam. This is the Paramatmastavam. You know that Paramatma is being glorified by in this Rudra Geetam. Japanta Ekagdrita Dhiya Tapo. That do the tapasya with Ekagramana, chant these prayers, and very soon, ipsitam, you will attain the desired result. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that if we persistently engage in devotional service, certainly all the desires will be fulfilled in the due course of time beyond your imagination. Prabhupada has written this in Dhruva Maharaj purport. That when one becomes a devotee of the Lord, he can fulfill the desires beyond his expectation. Dhruva wanted a planet, he got the whole star. And this is how we conclude Bhaktivedanta purport of the 4th canto, 24th chapter, chanting of the song sung by Lord Shiva, that is Rudra Gita. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you,
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dhanapam. Thank you.